We all know that January 26th has a special day for two countries. Jan 26th is Republic Day in India. Jan 26th in Australia is called Australia Day. For the past decades, we have seen that matches have been organized on Australia Day, which is January 26th, and many people enjoy that match. But now in 2023, one of Australia's best women cricketers has raised a massive objection. She has criticized Cricket Australia for hosting a game on January 26th. The player in question is Ashley Gardner of the dominant Australia women's cricket team, and she has absolutely criticized Cricket Australia's lack of foresight for hosting a game on January 26th. You would wonder, after so many decades, why has suddenly January 26th become such a hot topic in Australia? The reasons are etched in history. This is the prime reason. So Ashley Gardner has criticized the decision to hold the match on January 26th. Remember, Australia will play Pakistan in a T20I match. And Jan 26th, apart from Australia Day, is actually considered a day of mourning and hurt. Now, how did the concept of Australia Day come up? You have to go way back to 1788. The first fleet of the Europeans landed in Australia on 1788, and that is when Australia Day was born. But actually, if you have to look at the First Nations people or the original Aboriginals of Australia, it was actually a day of mourning. And Ashley Gardner is one of the 4 Indigenous players to have actually played for us, Australia. There is Faith Thomas, Jason Gillespie, Scott Boland, and Ashley Gardner, who belongs to the Murruwari Aboriginal tribe. Now, Ashley Gardner has highlighted what this is in her Instagram account statement. As a proud Murruwari woman and reflecting on what Jan 26 means to me and my people, it is a day of hurt and mourning. My culture is something that I hold close to my heart and something I'm always so proud of. So that is why she's saying, it is, if you look at the last particular line, for those who don't have a good understanding of what that day, January 26th, is all about, it was the beginning of genocide, massacres, and dispossession. When I take the field for this game, I will certainly be reflecting and thinking about all of my ancestors and people's life who changed from this day. Remember these words: genocides, massacres, dispossession. The Aboriginals were made refugees within their home country. And that is why, if you look at Australia Day, it actually hides this dark secret. Now, what went wrong for Cricket Australia? Traditionally, now in the past couple of years, you have seen that the Australian team wears Indigenous kits. They have a much more greater understanding of the local Aboriginal cultures. But in this case, what went wrong for Cricket Australia? Because normally, nowadays, what happens is, this is a very interesting function of Cricket Australia. CA has a reconciliation action plan, and within that action plan, they consult with the Indigenous Advisory Committee as to, are the dates fine, is the time fine, is the venue fine. All these minute details are asked by Cricket Australia to the Indigenous Advisory Committee. But unfortunately, one thing that happened a couple of months earlier threw this entire plan astray. Why? South Africa cancelled their ODI series at the last moment. And that is the reason why Cricket Australia were left with absolutely trying to redistribute. They were trying to amend the dates. The initial date of the Australia versus Pakistan match was Jan 27th. But because South Africa cancelled their ODI series against Australia and all the points were rewarded to Australia, Cricket Australia had no other option but to make it on January 26th. And unfortunately, this has fallen prey to the Indigenous committee people and especially to Ashley Gardner, because she has absolutely criticized the handling of this, and Cricket Australia had to come out with a statement. So what will Ashley Gardner and the Australian women's cricket team do? They will have a traditional Aboriginal smoking ceremony. Remember, the smoking ceremony is when stories are told about the ancestors. It's a ritual in a way. They will embark on a walk around the local mountain Kunani, which means in order to get a deeper understanding of the Aboriginal culture and method, they will have a walk around the local mountain. They will wear a special indigenous kit designed by two indigenous women. And that is why this is now going to integrate themselves into a deeper understanding of what the Aboriginal culture is in Australia. And Cricket Australia have released the statement which has said, respectfully acknowledge it is a challenging day for many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. 26 January as an opportunity to continue our ongoing educational journey with First Nations people. The major point now, after all the outcry by one of the best cricketers in Australia currently, will not reference Australia Day in any of the promotions. So whatever activities happen on that day, there will be no mention of Australia Day on January 26th. And that is a massive change from all these decades, because now Australia's indigenous community is now starting to speak up and rightfully reasserting their place in this land. So, as I said, what will Ashley Gardner do? Will she opt out of the game? In her Instagram statement, she said no. She will be available for selection. And if you have to look at it, she's one of the 4 indigenous players to represent Australia. I had said Faith Thomas, Jason Gillespie, Scott Boland and Ashley Gardner. And much more deeper than that, Ashley Gardner was part of the Aboriginal 11 squad who toured England to mark 150 years of the 1868 tour. When they made the tour in 2018, it was the first time in 150 years that an Aboriginal squad had gone for an international cricket tour. Remember, from 1877 onwards till now, very few Aboriginals and indigenous people have gotten the chance in Australia. This entire Aboriginal 11s tour was the first after 150 years. Take that time to sink it in. So, there is plenty of controversy heading into the Australia versus Pakistan T20 match, but it is a rightful reassertion by the local First Nations people of Australia, because the Aboriginals were the original Australians from 1788. It was only genocide, massacres and dispossession. And that is why such a date, such an occasion should be consigned into the back burners of the history books. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.